So, hello everybody. First, I would like to present the host of today. He's called Elena R. Actually, he's the father of Elena R. Velimir Ramljak from Zagreb, Croatia is going to be my host today. And I had the pleasure of working closely together with him 1.5 years ago because we were organizing together the Pula ILA conference in Croatia, and he was the wonderful host. And Velimir is actually a researcher. He is the inventor of various devices to treat myopia with light and color. And so he's a very diverse person. He's also a diplomat. Thanks a lot, Velimir, for hosting me today.
Hello, Gabrielle. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to host this conference. This lovely meeting is another meeting within the Color Lights World project launched by Gabrielle. The project encompasses speakers from 10 countries all over the world and offers another great platform for discussing color and light, for understanding color and light, for being color and light. And the goal of this session is to become a color, if I remember well, because I had the honor to present Gabrielle's presentation, a very meditative one, which we are going to experience today. Again, it's titled Thinking Outside the Box, and I would like to greet you all, regardless whether you already think outside the box or not. But if not, you are definitely going to think outside the box after this great session. So get ready and enjoy, relax. Gabrielle Buresch-Teichmann is former president of the International Light Association. I had the privilege to be secretary of International Light Association at the same time. We went through many things together. We organized the Pula conference, the last conference during the period of old normalcy. We launched the International Light Association online webinars during the period of new normalcy. Gabrielle has been working with color and light for already 30 years. She's expert in many fields in light and color. Systemic constellations, solution-oriented ones, Hygeia color and light therapy, and the author of a great book titled In the Beginning, There Was Red. So this is a variation of the one in the beginning, there was light. So light is the most important thing. So be concentrated. That's not going to be very hard because it's the most important thing in life. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thanks a lot, Velimir. Well, welcome. It's a great pleasure for me being here with you today. Thanks a lot for joining. Last week, as some of you noticed, we had the Color Lights World project. We ran the Color Week 2021 with lots of pictures and wonderful posts that we posted on Facebook and Instagram. And so we kind of colored the social media. Today, I want to refer to your inner pictures and your inner photos, because we are all kind of multicolored people. And so I'm not going to show you pictures. I'm not going to share the screen because I want to inspire your inner colors to come through, yes? And this session is meant to be in the times we are having now, where we are spending a lot of time in front of screens. So this session is meant to be as if we were in the same room. Yeah, I'm going to show you the elements of systemic constellation work. I'm going to demonstrate that to you. And this session today is a combination of color light therapy and systemic constellation work that we are going to do in a very meditative, very relaxing way. And it will be an inner experience for each one of you. Please take in whatever is coherent for you from this session at this very moment. I am, of course, available for questions after the session via email if you want to discuss something personal, because this session could go deep. It mustn't, but it could go deep. Or, of course, feel free to share your comments in the chat, and we can answer questions after the 2 meditations we are going to do. So the program is, first I'm going to give you a very brief explanation about what is constellation work and what can we apply it for. Then I want to give you a few insights from my work as a color light therapist now for 30 years, and from my work also with constellations. Some little hints or little tips maybe for your daily life that can be helpful in this difficult time. And then we are going to do 2 small inner constellations. The one is called the Universal Father, and the second one is going to be a constellation about the color circle, where you can experience what it is like to be a color and to meet your color complement. So first, a very brief explanation about what is constellation work. The constellation work gives us the chance and opportunity to make the hidden powers and dynamics of life and of a system visible. Constellation work expands the visible world that is familiar to us by letting us see and feel what is invisible or not yet known to us. When I do a constellation, the easiest way to explain it is by a family constellation. When you do a family constellation as a client, you choose among a group of people one representative for each member of your family. And these persons are then led into a room, and by the simple fact how they are positioned to each other, this enables a kind of communication and a kind of flow of information that resembles a lot to the real situation of your family. So, and you can set up any kind of thing into a room. You can set up colors, you can set up a question, you can set up a business, a group of friends, whatever, yeah? So the first image that appears when you set it up into a room is related to the problem image, and gradually it is changed and transformed into a freeing solution image. And what we are going to do today contains anyhow a solution image, yeah? And if you have the solution image, that is something that can be very resourceful and very helpful in your life, because it creates a new inner image that has an influence on how you feel and how you act in your life. Very brief, the story about where does that come from. So we are all connected by the morphogenetic fields. Through these fields, we communicate through each other's. And actually, this is also something that is happening now, although Constance and Wu, I know you are in California, that's very far away, but still we can connect through morphogenetic fields. And also with Velimir and others who are in Europe. So the term morphogenetic fields was created by Alexander Gurevich, and this is an immaterial information immaterial information fields that influence and determine the form of material things and store collective habits. According to Rupert Sheldrake, he created the term morphic resonance. As soon as something new is done somewhere, it is easier and easier for it to be repeated. So the evolution moves always forward, creating new thoughts, new ideas, new fields, and new forms. And what you are going to experience today is a form of that, because you are going to send some resourceful energies into your field. Yeah, so that's what we are going to do. And the first constellation we are going to do now is dealing with the universal father, meaning the very nourishing male and fatherly energies, yes. And but before we start with this first constellation, here are coming my few hints that I experience as very helpful in my work, and that I got also the feedback from many of my clients that they are in fact very helpful. So one quality that is helpful is being present, or doing something that promotes your feeling of presence. And as I know, because I know quite some of my dear listeners today, many of us are dealing with some forms of yoga or Tai Chi or meditation that promotes this sense of being present, yeah? Because life is actually exactly in the now, yeah? And if you practice immersing yourself into the very moment of the now, this actually has the effect of expanding time. And you are then able to perceive more, able to experience more, able to notice more, able to learn more, yeah? And it is also known and proven that presence is expanding the visual fields. So cultivating presence by whatever means, can also be by music, of course, yeah, you have, is something very valuable and very helpful for any kind of situation, also stressful situations as we are having right now on the world. One very nourishing and constructive thing you can also do, a second tip of mine, is acknowledge what is. Whatever you feel, whatever you think, say yes to it, because that is the start of being able to change it. Yeah. A saying in constellation work is, whatever you defend yourself against, you won't get rid of it. So if you fully accept whatever is, even also negative feelings or frustrations or being tired, it's magical, because when you fully accept it, then your feelings start to change. So embrace whatever is, and then you can move on. And then another thing in my work that has shown to be really helpful is we have the tendency of thinking in either or categories. Yeah, this polarity of being. Yeah, the polarity of our world. Yeah. And instead of doing that, you could try to say as well this, as well that, saying both. Like, my heart is big enough for A and B. My heart is big enough for this and that for both positions. And that takes the stress away that is often created by saying either or. So that's also very helpful. And actually, if you already practice these three things that I mentioned, the presence, acknowledging, accepting what is, and embracing either or, this creates the feeling of vastness. Yeah. Because working with light for such a long time, I've noticed light promotes this feeling of vastness, like freedom, you know, not being closed up, but having the freedom in your life, freedom to act. Yeah. And this vastness, you know, also like the sky or the sea, everything that seems infinite, because that takes a stress away of either or and small challenges that we are having all. And so, and this feeling of vastness is very beneficial for any kind of transformation or healing, and also of change. So these are a few gems and maybe inspirational things. And now we are going to start with our first constellation. First, we are doing the Father constellation, and then we are going to do the color constellation. So when we start with the Father constellation, and what we are going to do now is something that you can imagine in your inner mind. Yeah. And I'm going to show you what you can imagine, so that it's kind of, you know, that you can have an image for your inner mind. We are going to have for this position, for this first constellation meditation, three aspects. The first aspect is your father that is still living, or your father that has passed already. Maybe your father you didn't know, or you didn't know at all, whatever. So your father, every one of us has a father. That's the first position. The second position is the universal father. That's kind of, you know, like the Godfather, like Zeus, like the divine trait of fatherly, the divine fatherly trait. And the third position is you. And I'm going to show you now what I mean. Let's say, this is the first position. You can imagine as if you were standing on a spot, yes? So the first position is your father. The second position is the universal father. And the third position is you. You can imagine it to be arranged like a triangle. First position, your father. Second position, the universal father. Third position, you yourself. And if you want, you can do it as you please. You can imagine it in your inner eye, or if you want, you can also take the positions that I have now shown. So now, maybe it's easier if you really close your eyes. So you see in your inner eyes, on one position, your father. Then on the other side, you see the universal father, this soothing, very male, divine, fatherly energy. And then on the third position, you see yourself. And now you see, and you can rely and trust to your on your capacity of visualizing. Yeah. Now you see that the universal father gives your father a light. So the universal Father gives your Father a light. And ask yourself, which color is this light that your Father receives? And you can observe and watch your Father receiving this light. You can watch what happens while your Father receives this light. And you can see the color and simply trust whatever you see. Could be also white light or golden light, or you see a color. Maybe you can now, and give it some time to work for you. How does your Father look now? Did your Father, after receiving this light, change in some way? Do you perceive some kind of transformation? Maybe you can see that your Father has changed in some way. Maybe your Father wants to say something after receiving this light. And now imagine that behind your Father stand his ancestors. A long line of his family are standing behind your Father. And watch now if your Father wants to give this light back behind him to his family and his ancestors. If he wants to keep it for him, it's also okay. Whatever you see is coherent for you. Maybe he gives the light to the others of his family, to his ancestors, or maybe he keeps it. And you can still watch what is happening and what is the effect of this light on your Father. Also, what is the effect of this light if your Father gives it back to his ancestors? Okay, so now you still see these two positions, the universal Father and your Father with the light. And now you move to your own position so that you now see these two in front of you. And take a look at your Father now. Do you maybe feel moved to get closer to him? Is it okay for you to get closer? Maybe 1 or 2 steps or more? Or is it okay for you to stay standing where you are? And you can see this Father, still your Father, still in this light. The light that he gave away, or maybe the light that he's still holding. And if you feel moved to get closer, let it happen. It could also happen that you want to hug him, or you are simply standing there looking at him with the light. And now imagine that you are saying the following healing sentences and allow to happen whatever is okay for you. There's no need to say them all. Try to say what is coherent for you. So you feel yourself standing and looking at your father in the ambience of this light. And you are saying to your father now, look at his eyes, please. You are my father and I'm your child. Again, I am your child and you are my father. You are the right one for me and I am the right one for you. And see what happens when you're saying that. See what happens. Maybe he wants to add something. Maybe he wants to add something standing there in the light. And then at last you say to him, thank you for the gift of life. And you can observe whatever happens. Maybe you want to approach him or hug him. Or maybe it's very okay for you to stay standing and look at him. And you can now imagine that this light that he received from the Universal Father is also projected on you. Or the light that he gave back to his ancestors and his family is also projected on you, so that you are part of this light. And maybe you have gotten some answers, or maybe you have gotten some comments as well from your father. You can always imagine that your father is very much connected with the Universal Father for healing. And you are as well. Okay, and now please take a deep breath and let that sink in. And imagine that you take with you whatever is good and coherent for you now. And you take with you the light that has been sent and transmitted by the Universal Father. Yes, and yeah, if you please come back slowly again into the here and now. And take a deep breath and feel your feet on the ground and feel the chair where you are sitting. And be back completely in the here and now. Yeah, so let it sink in. You are very welcome if you have any questions regarding that to get back to me in any form that you want. And now we are going to do something very colorful. You are going to be part of a color circle. And this color circle is a circle of 8 colors. And the inspiration is actually from my book. In the beginning, there was red. And I want to show you, I was thinking of sharing the screen, but then I preferred to show the original picture from my book. So this is the color circle. So you see the 8 colors that we are going to use. And they are red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, blue, violet, and magenta. And what I'm going to ask you, and please choose the first thing that comes to your mind when I'm asking you, because color is a very spontaneous language. That's why the first thing that comes to your mind related to color is always the correct answer. So now I'm asking you, which of these colors do you want to be today? Just pick one. And take the first that kind of jumps out. Okay? Good. And now, you can imagine, I'm also going to show it so that it's kind of more easier for you to imagine. What we are going to do is a color circle, meaning that the 8 colors are going to stand, each one like a circle in the room. And you will be one of these 8 colors. Again, I think if it's easier, please close your eyes and close your eyes. And now you have already picked one color. Imagine being this color. Please visualize the color. It's maybe easier when you close your eyes. Visualize the color and immerse yourself completely into this color. And now you see yourself standing in a circle with all the other colors. So if you are red, on your side stands orange. Orange on your side stand yellow and red. If you are yellow, on your side stand green and orange. Green, imagine standing beside turquoise and yellow. Turquoise, imagine standing beside green and blue. Blue, imagine standing beside turquoise and violet. And violet, you stand between magenta and blue. And magenta, you stand between red and violet. And now, what we are going to do is the encounter of the complementary colors. So each one of you who is one color can then follow meeting the complementary color. So we will start with the color red. Red and turquoise. So those of you who are red and turquoise, please imagine that within the circle, you go to the center and you meet each other's. And the other colors are standing in the circle watching. So red meets turquoise, and they are looking each other in the eyes. Yes, when red looks at turquoise, it could be quite amazed about this freshness and creativity and the wealth of imagination of turquoise. And when turquoise looks in the eye of red, that's also like another planet for turquoise. It's as red is always full of power and full of initiative to move on. So what happens when these two are looking at each other's, turquoise and red? What is it that they create together? The turquoise and the red. And just let yourself be inspired by what is created by these two complements. The one is has a lot of strength. The other has a lot of creativity. What is the quality of their communion? It could be authenticity or authentic being that is created by this warm activity and this cool, fresh creativity. But if you are red and turquoise, just receive the message while you are standing there. And let it sink in and imagine that it's like a present that you are taking with you. And now the red and the turquoise are again moving back into the circle so that they are standing again in the circle. And now the two next complementary colors, orange and blue, are going to meet in the middle of the circle. So they approach each other's and look into their eyes. And again, if you are orange or blue, look at this completely difference of the other color. So when orange looks at blue, blue feels very calm, very collected. And when blue looks at orange, orange makes the impression of skipping along and not being serious, wanting to play. So these complementary colors, they are like yin and yang. Very different, but fitting together if you bring them together. So if you are blue and orange, just observe what's happening when you are meeting your complement. What is it that is created by this difference, this yin and yang difference? So they gaze each other in the eyes, the blue and the orange. And what is the common ground of joy and calm, joy and peace? Maybe it's love, maybe it's bliss. But if you are orange and blue, just receive and observe what it is. What is the present that these two, the orange and blue, form? And accept this present. And let it sink in and take it with you. And now please, you move again backwards and stand again in the circle. And the next complementary pair of colors is yellow and violet. So please, if these two colors now come into the middle, into the center of the circle. And they look each other in the eyes. They gaze at each other, the yellow and the violet. So violet finds that the radiance of yellow blinds it. And the yellow finds that the violet is elusive and it cannot quite shine the light on the violet. So observe what is the energy. So if you are violet or yellow, just feel the energy. So the one is as bright as light and the other is mystical, like darkness. What is it that these two can create together like yin and yang? And just observe what it could be that yellow and violet create together. It could be like intelligence and intuition could create together emotional intelligence. But maybe also other things. Whatever you sense and whatever comes to your mind is the good answer for you. Yes, and if you are yellow or violet, just take the message and the present with you. And now we are having our next complementary pair. The yellow and the violet, they go back and stand again in the circle. And now you can observe that the two colors green and magenta meet each other in the center of the circle. And they gaze at each other's eyes. And green sometimes likes to balance from one feet to the other. And green could believe that magenta is like from another world and looks very graceful, the magenta. Magenta might be surprised about the silence of green. And green could remind magenta that it can come down to earth. So what is it that these two, the green and the magenta, can create together? If you sense these two and have a feeling for these two, this creates quite some presence. So if you are green or magenta, what is it that they create, that they want to create as common ground? Yes, whatever it is that comes to your mind and that you sense is the good and right message for you. It could be presence or trust into the flow of life. Yes, and now you take a deep breath again, and the magenta and the green go back to the outer circle of the colors. And whatever color you are now standing in the circle, and the circle is holding hands. All the colors are holding hands. And sense now that you, being today this one color, you are part of this color circle that is complete, that has all aspects and all energies. And just feel what it is to be part of such a circle that has all energies. And remind yourself again what you experienced when you met your complement. Maybe you want to look once more at your complement, standing exactly on the other side of the circle. Look once again at your complement and receive once more the message and the present that your complement gave you. And being today this one color, please have one look at all the other colors standing there. Red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, blue, violet, and magenta. And while you're standing here holding hands with this complete circle of all energies, breathe in and breathe out. And imagine that you take for yourself this present you got today, this message maybe you got from your complement, and this feeling of being part of this circle with you. And imagine while you are standing there as this color, you make for yourself an inner photograph. You click, you make a photo, and you let this photo sink into your heart so that you have it with you. Okay, and when you have taken it in, please open your eyes again and be completely present again in the here and now and today. Okay, so I hope you had a wonderful journey and maybe some interesting insight or inspiration. And now we can, if you want, there's room for some comments of you or maybe some questions. But I want to specify, if you want to say, ask me something more personal, you can write me an email, of course, if you prefer. But there's the room now for questions. So welcome. Do you want to give some feedback?
I'll share.
Yes.
That was lovely. Thank you. So, of course, as a color therapist, and you sharing with me earlier that we would be working with the complementary colors, I kind of had to wipe my slate clean after, being guided to my father's color. And it just was fascinating because like it always is, color is always fascinating, right? But I chose the complementary color to my father's color. Mm-hmm. And I kept trying to not make that be so, because I was thinking, oh, I'm just projecting this in. So I tested myself again a few times, and it just was so clearly the one. And it just was delightful. I don't think I've never imagined my father a color in this way before. So it was really special. And of course, I have so many different interpretations off of what you shared, and then just so much more channeling came through me with that. So I'm excited actually to share it with him, and I know he'll be receptive to hearing that. Wow. Especially because actually I feel like sharing that he just went through an unexpected major surgery a few months ago amidst the whole COVID times, and he was born with a lung condition. So we were really, being very careful with him through this whole time. And luckily it was nothing COVID related, but it still was, it was a scary time for us. And he was green also in this, and everything that he's been challenged with has been with his lungs and breathing and his heart center. And I got such a different interpretation of the green ray with him today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm happy for that. Thanks for sharing, Constance.
Pleasure.
Anybody else wants to share something? Would be lovely. Please feel invited. You have to unmute yourself. Christiane, do you want to say something?
Sorry, I'm talking from my iPhone because my computer striked right now. So it was beautiful, Gabrielle, and you looked so beautiful. You are looking so beautiful today. And the thing is, the same with me happened, that I got the complementary color to my father's color. And I gave him, my father is already passed away a long, long time ago. He died when I was young. So, but I gave him orange and a bit reddish orange, I guess. And my complementary I chose was turquoise, of course. And the message I got was so clear. So just do your projects and manifest what you are thinking and working with. And this was a very clear message to me. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm sorry I have to leave now. I wrote it into the, and thank you very, very much. I'm looking forward to get the video to show it, to have a look.
Thanks for sharing, Christiane. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye all.
Bye. Bye. So anybody else wants to share, please?
I would like to add that everybody can drop their ideas and their questions, because this stuff can be a bit intimate when it comes to fathers. So feel free to drop in your questions and your comments, both via private message or email.
Yeah. So anybody feels like sharing?
I'll share, because my father's been gone for many, many decades. And I was quite close to him growing up, and then got separated from him because my parents broke up. And then, but he's still such an important influence on me. And it's odd because you try to remember him with your feelings and just his presence after being gone so many years. And beyond that, my universal father and ancestors, my grandfather I've never met. He was in China. And he was alive when I was born, but I never got to see him. And he's always been an important presence. And he of course, brings out the ancestors. You know, Chinese are totally about the ancestors all the way on. And so even without that sense of physical contact, I'm surprised how much of a total influence they've been into my lives and continuing. And then wonder where to go from there, because I have a kind of a dominating mother from another part of the planet that's always trying to like take over that kind of role, and I'm always trying to fight for the dad, you know, in this modern age. Today's meditation was good for me. I chose yellow, and of course the complementary is purple, and for some reason yellow and purple in Taoism has some intertie. I don't know why, but I always see it. I think it might have to do with our rods in our eyes rather than our cones that see color. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for sharing, Wu. Thanks. Yes. Anybody else?
So I'd like to share my views and my impressions. So first of all, it was interesting. I chose magenta, didn't know that green will be my complementary color. And yes, oh, sorry. Yesterday I chose the green, almost green background for my Zoom meetings. Very interesting. And there was one, when we did the father's meditation, you know, I was very, very close, and still I am very close with my father, although he passed away 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And, but our family, we were not so close with the father's family branch, you know. So we knew that there's his mother and his brother and so far, but we never were close. And when he passed on the light to his family, they were very clear, and I haven't seen them like I saw them right now. You know, it was very, very nice and very very warm. Yeah, it was really very, very nice. Thank you very much indeed.
Oh, I'm happy for that, Irmgard. Thanks for sharing. Lovely. Yes. Yeah. Anybody else? Eva, did you want to share something?
Well, I could share one thing.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a bit dark here. I can turn up the light a bit. Voila, light from the computer screen. Yeah, I've been working a lot with generation traumas, or with the healing of the generation traumas. And when you asked to see the spiritual father, or the father of everything, and then my father, and there was this very white bluish light coming towards him, and it made him become very small, which I don't know yet why he became very small. And when I went over to him, I became same size as him. And then this white bluish silver light, he turned around and he passed it on, and it was like it was just continuing. And we were looking at it and agreed that everybody would benefit from this healing. So that was really nice, because I've been working with this going back in all the generations, and there is always somebody stepping out and saying, this is mine. But this did not belong to anybody. This was, well, some kind of universal healing for everybody. And usually I have to sit with my eyes closed, but I'm actually working on this drawing where I'm putting my life in, and I can see all the blind spots on this drawing, and I'm sitting drawing at that at the same time. So I don't have to be inside me and myself. I am inside me, outside of me, and then having that meditation at the same time is really, it was really nice and very soothing, very calming. So you don't always, this is the first time I'm meditating outside, inside at the same time. Usually I go in, but it was really good. So thank you very much. It was a nice journey.
Yeah, so I'm happy, Rike, that it worked, that this bluish color could be, you could see the flow from your father to his ancestors, that it worked. I'm really happy.
All the way through, all the way, just was like.
That's really awesome and nice that it really works. And I'm really happy for that. Thanks for sharing.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yes. Okay, anybody else? Okay.
I would like to ask whether anybody experienced any obstacles in this procession of light towards ancestors. I mean, if there were maybe black sheep, did you see any black sheep that could halt the light in its passage? No such experiences.
That's quite amazing. But that says something about, you know, the force, the light force of the Universal Father. Because, yeah, the light came from the Universal Father that represents, you know, this divine male love. Yeah. So it's quite amazing. Thanks for asking that, Velimir, that it really worked.
Well, you may say that I'm mostly talking about myself. Maybe that is the case, but okay. I won't tell you who it is about.
Okay, so it was the case with you, you mean, Velimir?
Well, yes, but as you may imagine, it's quite intimate.
Okay, yeah, you can write me about that if you want. Yes. Okay, so I would like to say thank you for being here. I would love you to join maybe today in a week again. The title is the same, thinking about the outside the box with color and light. And we are going to do a small color test that is going to inform you about what is important for you right now. Then we are going to meet the Universal Mother and do this meditation with the Universal Mother and the Mother as well. And then, and this is really lovely and exciting, that's something that I love personally, but I can say everything that I'm working with, I love, yeah. We are going to do a constellation, small meditation, meeting yourself in the future. So I would love to have you coming back. Thanks a lot for being here, and have a wonderful day or evening or morning, wherever you are. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.